And we're
Right.
live.
Awesome.
And we're
Episode
live.
47
47. And as
with Tawfiq.
as you may or may not have noticed, it is currently still dark, like light outside. But by the end of this episode, it will be dark. This
I sure
happened
love filming in sunset.
Yeah, I do love filming in sunset, especially since the lighting is, unequal and stuff.
Mhm.
But
Amazing.
yeah.
And
And
Tawfiq,
you're
where are you right now? So Ali's in Kuwait, it's the dark. I'm in Los Angeles, it's the light. And where are you right now?
Nice. I'm in New York, calling in from New York
Calling in
City.
from New York City. Nice.
Manhattan, the Big Apple. So.
All right. What are you up to in New York City?
So I work here. I work in New York. Currently working remote from my room, as you see. But yeah, no, I work in New York. I live in New York. I've been in New York for about a year now, and excited to share the experience and then the journey with you guys.
All right. Yeah. Tell us more.
Very interesting. Obviously, New York City, to those who know me, is my favorite city in the world.
Oof.
So I am, and I will say this on podcast. I am very jealous that you get to live there.
Yeah, absolutely. And
no
and when you come down, Ali, you come to visit us.
Obviously.
Oh, mi casa, tu casa.
Of course, bro.
You get what I mean.
Beti Betik.
Beti Betik, exactly.
But yeah, no, I would love to visit you when I come to New York, if I ever do come again. But yeah, New York City is like concrete jungle where dreams are made of. There's nothing you can't do.
It is.
Well, now you can't take the subway. That's the one thing you can't do, right?
Technically, you still can. And the good thing, they actually clean the subways, and they're constantly cleaning them. So a lot of subways that were dirty, some terminals that were dirty, now they're all clean. So that's I would say, the positive aspect. And I don't know if you guys are seeing the news, but New York now is the number of cases has dropped. So we passed the curve. And now it's the other way around. The states that didn't take things really seriously.
Florida, California.
Yes,
California, yeah. And I think South Carolina or North Carolina, one of them. They're taking it really carefully. So if you fly in from one of these states, you kind of sign a paper to stay home for 14 days because they don't want what happened to happen. There's a lot of people who passed away, and it was a tragic for the city and the state. So they're trying to keep things under control.
But let's be honest, you can't control a bunch of idiots, and that's what Americans are like. No,
oh my God!
Not all of them.
Oh my God!
But there's like a good amount of idiots in America. Did you guys see about the whole protesting of wearing the face mask because it's against their freedom or whatever?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what's happening is people are mixing up their freedom with their ability to hurt others. And it all says you're free until the moment where you start affecting other people's lives or other people's health. That's when you're not free, right? I'm free to run around, but I can't run around into Ali, right? I can't bump into Ali.
That's true. Yeah.
My way, I'm free to run, right?
That's true. That's funny.
It's kind of that, but no, it's going well. As you know, guys, I work here with a startup, and I was, when I first moved from the UK, I moved and started working with a fintech startup for about 9 months. We grew the team from about 40 people to 100 when I left, and just last 2 weeks ago, the startup, it's called QuadPay. It's a fintech startup. It got acquired by another company for $500 million. So now I'm with a new startup as well, kicking things off. We're a smaller team. And, you probably know, and your audience will definitely know from the title of this conversation is what will it take to land your entry-level job, and what will it take to land your next job in this pandemic? And I'm really excited, to share some stuff.
That's pretty cool. But you said from like how many, 40, you made them to 100, right?
Yeah. When I joined, I was the 40, to be exact, 44th employee. When I left, we were almost 100 employees. And, I'm still on good terms with the guys, the CEO and the co-founders, the 2 Australian guys. And they just recently got acquired a couple of months back. So it was a great journey, and I learned a lot, and now I'm on to a new journey and a new opportunity. So
what about like a group of 3? Do you think you could turn into like?
Turn into
just us.
Us
yeah.
Do you think you can expand our business by any way, or like?
Well,
I mean, while you're here, you might as well.
Tell us about it, sure. Uh-huh.
I think the podcast is booming. It is a growing thing, and you definitely know a couple of podcasts. I don't know if you ever heard of. My favorite one is Robin Hood by Nick and Jack. So Robin Hood is kind of a finance podcast. It gives you a summary of the business world in a minute or in 15 minutes. They have 2 versions every day. The guys started in just like you, and now maybe 8 years later, they just got acquired by Robinhood, which is an investment company, and they're just part of that. So they're called Robinhood Snacks. So I think the key to just succeeding on a podcast is quality. So the quality of the content, and you guys are sharing good quality, right? And persistence and discipline. A lot of people start a podcast and then they leave it after a while. It's about discipline to stay delivering content, delivering quality content, and that's where you'll start driving bigger audiences and bigger reach. So you're on the track, guys.
Amazing, thank you.
That's good to hear. But have you watched any of our episodes?
I certainly watched. The thing I would say about the episodes is they're long, right? Like they're an hour long, and you need to take that into mind. Like, when are people listening to podcasts? People are listening to podcasts when they're doing something. So they're either cooking, they're on their way, to work,
driving.
So to accommodate to that, I don't think anyone's going to listen to or going to be cooking for an hour. Oh, I'll be cooking for an hour because I'm making a mess at cooking. But people on the subway or on going to work on their break, and that's where listening to podcasts, and that's where it's key. How can I deliver key information in 20 to 25 minutes? And I thought of sharing some key bits and pieces and maybe dividing them. But I'll start with you guys. Do you have any questions on how to land your job or how to kind of land your next job?
The career path I'm taking, it's all pretty much done and set. But I can ask on behalf of others. For me, when I graduate, I just go to the Ministry of Health, show them my papers. They grab the sword. You are now a doctor, and they ship me to the nearest hospital. But for people who want to,
if you're a doctor, yeah.
For example, I have 2 cases: a girl and a boy I've met through gaming. Right. One had several jobs, and he's currently looking for another job. He does not have any university qualifications, to what I know. Right, but he's good at programming, and he is learning a lot of programming and stuff like that, and he's looking for that kind of job. And then we have another case of a girl fresh out of high school. She's looking for a job as I think a secretary or
a waitress or anything.
A waitress or something like this.
A job.
So these are the 2 cases that I've seen in my life so far. And I was wondering, how could they get into the job they want without any qualifications, right? Just no university qualifications, no training or things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good question. And I think the answer of how to really get into a job really depends on the industry and the function you're getting into. Like you said, you're a doctor, so it's clear the path you're taking. For a software engineer, it would be different. For a waiter, it would be different. For someone just wants to join a startup, maybe in business development or in sales, it's different. There are overlapping elements, right? And what makes, before really just sharing and jumping into that, is why am I sharing this, and what kind of gives me the leverage to say, oh, hey, this is my advice, right? It's like, who are you to say it? And to kind of give some context, guys, I know I graduated in 2019 from university. While at university, I was working different stuff, but then I moved to New York City. And that time, New York City was, the toughest job market in the world. Mm-hmm. And you were applying for a job that over 10,000 people were applying to. I would say, lucky and disciplined enough to land a job, an entry-level job with a really fast-growing startup. But then 8-9 months down the line, now the startup is growing very fast. I'm on the other side. I'm on the side of hiring. So I was tasked to hire 3 people just like me who are entry level. So I kind of have that leverage of what does it take to kind of be on the candidate side, but also have kind of like an inside tips of what are companies actually looking for from the inside.
And what
So,
are they actually looking for from the inside?
exactly. I'll definitely start with that. Is I'll definitely start with that. Is
Because,
companies are, yeah.
sorry, yeah, go ahead.
No, companies, it can be summed up into two things, right? Companies are looking for two really main components when it comes to someone joining them. One is the individual impact this person will have on the business. So even if it's a restaurant, even if it's a, even if it's a hospital, even if it's a startup, this key component, they're looking, what can Ali add to the overall impact, the overall outcome of the company, and usually that's the revenue. And what can Ali do to help us reach our goals? They look for the kind of the individual impact when it comes to that. A lot of people are like, okay, how do I show the individual impact, which I can touch on down the line. But the second thing companies are looking for is your culture add. Is how are you going to add to the culture of the company? There are hundreds of waiters applying to jobs, hundreds of software engineers, hundreds of recent graduates applying to jobs. And now the job market is narrow, and there's a bigger pile for companies to choose from. A lot of people have been laid off, and they have 5-10 years of experience.
What do you mean by culture, if you don't mind me? I'm sorry to cut you off.
That's a good question. I was thinking that too.
Because I really don't know, and I didn't really understand that.
If I'm working at a restaurant or something, how can I add to its culture?
So what's a culture, basically?
Culture is defined in many ways. What I would say, the general definition is culture is what are how are you going to add to the company outside of the office hours, and when it's non-work related. So when it comes to working, when it comes to your team working skills, when it comes to your networking skills, when it comes to what are you going to add to the company that makes this company or this workspace attractive for someone to join other than just money. How are you, and that's a culture of the company. Culture of the company is based on different things. Some companies have different ideas of what a culture is, but a culture is what attracts someone to a company other than money. So I'm working at a company today. If I'm working just for the money, and then tomorrow someone offers me double that money, I'm quickly right.
Obviously, you're gonna leave, yeah.
So how do you build a culture where people are enjoying? Culture is the driver of people to join your company.
Okay.
Without the money, right? Without the 9 to 5.
So, in other words, how can you obtain loyalty and secure the loyalty of your employees, right? So how can you make sure they're gonna stay?
Exactly. So loyalty of employees, and at the same time the kind of the, I would say the employees feeling towards coming to work. Mm-hmm. So, and are employees happy that they're at this job, or are they not? Are our employees being heard? Is there team collaboration? Is there a sense of openness in the company? Does everyone have a voice? Is the culture diverse? If in a restaurant, that's many things, right? How are you interacting and working with the chef, with the customers? How well are you on things when it comes to these sides? When it comes to a hospital, how are you good at adding to the culture of the hospital in working with the team, right? I know when it comes to joining a hospital, when you graduate, you're kind of an intern in residency. How are you good at working with your resident, the senior resident, the person in charge? How well are you on developing relationships outside of the work with your team? How are you good at creating a culture where people enjoy working with you rather than just have to work with you? When it comes to a startup, it's a big thing, right? There's hundreds of startups now, and then the key startups, or the strongest startups, are people with the strongest skills, and usually startups drive people with the strongest skills with the culture that they have. And that's more just of, we have scooters, we have a billiard table. It's not that, right? It's what makes me excited to come to work. And then
okay,
that's
so since we're talking mainly business and startups and things like this, every month, not even, every year, you have thousands of people who put so much money into starting this new business, right? But only 2 or 3 out of 100 make it through. But this isn't a real number. I just pulled it out of my pocket, so don't call me out. But you get the idea of what I'm trying to ask, right? Yeah. So what makes those few people special that keeps their business going and keeps it successful? And
Yeah, absolutely. I think, there are different, you know, I'd say three key elements when it comes to why startups succeed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually recently having a conversation with a friend of mine about this. And then the first one is the founders, and it's called, so the founders, and that stems into different things. One is, have the founders been working in this space? They're kicking off their startup, which means they have the connections to start selling what they're selling, or developing partnerships that they need.
Mm-hmm.
And two, do the partners have enough capital to kick off the startup? That's a key one. And a lot of people say, no, money when it comes to startups, you can actually have a good idea and raise funding in the beginning. What I say is a startup is really like a baby, right? A baby, you can feed. A baby still needs to be fed from his own mother before being fed from a bottle. So that's exactly what a startup is. You as a founder need to feed it with your own. I would say, you need to put in your own capital in the beginning. It needs to be some good capital to kind of kick it off from the ground and launch it and be able to generate interest and generate investments. So that's the first factor is founders. The second one is, a lot of startups that fail start from the solution. I don't know if you guys you probably hundreds of times came across people coming and telling you, hey, I have this really great idea, and they just tell you the idea and they tell you the solution, right?
Yeah.
And then I hear that on a daily basis. Like, people say, oh, I have this idea, and I just wait and say, let me see what's he going to say. Is he going to start with a solution? And that's where people get it wrong. They think ideas and solutions are going to succeed, or are definitely, if it's a nice idea, it'll succeed. What people don't know, that what's behind startups is not the solution or the idea, it's the problem.
The people. It's the problem involved.
Problem they're solving. Exactly.
So the bigger the problem, the better the company is going to be.
There are multiple factors. So the bigger the problem, the more frequent. So when you look at startups which succeed, you look at the problem that they solve. You look at, okay, now when I want to start a startup and I want to tell you guys about it, I'm not going to come ahead and say, hey, I have this idea, and then tell you the solution. It's wrong to start from the solution.
Mm-hmm.
You always need to start with a problem. So what problem are you solving? And a lot of people not fail, but kind of don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And the third one is the team, right? And Ali, you mentioned that, is the people. Is one, it's not only the founders, but also the initial team that builds onto that. Do you have the right team to scale the startup? Do you have the smartest people I would say, or the most skilled people in what they do, and passionate people to give you not only their 9 to 5, but their 24 hours in the startup? So these are really the three key components of why startups fail and why they don't: the founders, and the problem they're solving, and then the team.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So,
I want to ask you about, just like, so we can learn too. So in our experience, me and Ali are kind of doing a lot of the work. We have our editor Tiago, who helps us out also. Shout out to Tiago. At what point do you think we should add another member to help us, either in community outreach or social media? How should we go about it? What's your suggestion?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think, when it comes to building a team, you look at, okay, as I said, it's like you're hiring, right? You're a company now, you're hiring. Is what's the individual impact that this person is going to have on our podcast? Mm-hmm. If you're hiring for, okay, you're like, we probably need to push more on social media, or we probably need to push more on partnerships, generating partnerships with agencies, or with other podcasts. And then what value is this going to drive to our podcast? Is it going to make us grow faster? Is it going to drive more audience? And then look at, okay, now we need someone with with these 1, 2, 3 skills. I need someone who needs this because it's an opportunity for growth. So it's kind of like going backwards is what, where's the gap that you guys have, and and then where's the person that's going to individually add, just put the puzzle on that gap, and then, help you grow. Mm-hmm. So the first, as soon as you start realizing, okay, there's gaps that Ali and Tiago aren't really hitting, then you start thinking, okay, how can we, who do we need to get this on board? What skills that person has do I need, that person needs to have to get on board with us?
Very
awesome.
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. All right,
Tiago, you're fired. I'm just kidding.
No.
I'm just kidding.
So it's interesting how you talk about finding a job that you like and adding to the culture that you like. I feel like a lot of people have jobs now that they're not really all into, like they're working at Starbucks or something, and they kind of like maybe hate their job, or they hate their boss, or they have like a bad relationship. Whenever they go to work, they hate it. What can those people do? Should they find another job, or should they try to make the most out of this job while they can, while they have it? What's your idea?
Yeah, so I mean, if someone hates their job and there's a reason behind it, is it they're doing something they don't like, or is it they're working under a boss who's not who's negative and not really helping them achieve in their role? My take would be on this is, look, if you're waking up and you're not excited to go to your job, then you're in the wrong place. And I completely understand some people need to work. It's not a choice. And I completely respect that, right? If someone needs to work at a Starbucks, or needs to work as a door-to-door salesperson, and that's what I did at college. I was a door-to-door salesperson.
Wait. You can't just say that. No, like, wait, hold on. So you went to door, and you were like, "Hey, can I interest you in this product here?" And it's like holding a suitcase and stuff. Oh my god!
I was selling a good feeling. I was actually knocking door to door to ask people to become monthly donors for the British Heart Foundation.
Ooh.
So it was tough. I was in the UK. It was always raining.
Yeah, it does.
You literally wait. So you'd go door to door. Can you tell us a little bit more about like that story? So you went door to door knocking.
Yeah, it was
how long did you do it for? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did it for like 2 months in a row. I did it, and then I did it for another month. These were my spring and summer breaks. A friend of mine was already doing it. His name is Hamza. He's a really good friend, and he asked me, "Hey, do you want to join? I think you'll do good at this job." And it was also fundraising for a charity, so it's a win-win, right? And it gives you the right skills.
So how did you add to the culture of that job?
Absolutely. So when I joined, adding to the culture of that job is because when you knock on that door, you're working with a team. You're not working alone. So how well were you to work as a team? So as a team, how could I give my input to keep the team motivated, and give my advice and kind of like share any failures, any lessons, any tips to kind of make the team stronger. And at the same time, down the line, I was then promoted to team lead. My role was to make sure that the team is constantly motivated. Something you need to know about door-to-door fundraising or selling, it takes a lot of, I'd say, strength. A lot of people get depressed after a while, and they're
oh my god, it's not easy, huh?
It's not easy. Dude, imagine getting rejected door after door after door, and then someone finally
right? Like it's raining, you're rejected, and I'm gonna be very honest, guys. Like there were some days I was probably crying or about to cry, and I was like, why am I doing this? But then I remembered, why am I doing this, right? Like why am I knocking door to door? Yeah. And for anyone that's in college, at the moment, or really just finding someone, there's a lot of door-to-door agencies that work for charities. You don't have to even sell a product. It's for charity. They're looking for college students to work in their breaks. And if you look at the most successful people in the world, and a big example is Ray Kroc. He's the founder of McDonald's. Mm-hmm. He was a door-to-door salesman. Mm-hmm. A lot of the greatest founders and successful people in the world were door-to-door sellers. The reason that is one, you learn how to sell, and then which is a really important skill wherever you are in life. And then two, you learn how to separate your feelings from your work. Mm-hmm. So you learn, okay, now I'm being emotional. How can I be stronger and then detached? You learn how when someone says, shuts the door in your face and tells you to F off, how can I on the next door smile?
I will give you an advice my father has given me. And his father has given him before he has given me. You either do what you love or love what you do. It's all about the hustle.
Exactly. No, but guys, like for the question about, someone being in Starbucks and they don't like what they're doing, is there's a say that do what you need to do until you can do what you love to do. So how fast can you leave that job, do what you love, whether that's working in Starbucks during the day and then after, starting a side hustle on the side. And then when that side hustle is big enough to say, hey, I want to leave this, whether that's side hustle is starting a podcast, whether it's starting an e-commerce shop, whether that's playing music, whatever you have to do as fast as you can to get out there. And it requires discipline, right? And requires discipline. How disciplined are you to leave your job and work on your side hustle, and not leave your job and watch Netflix, right? But and then the more effort you put onto that side hustle, then the faster you can leave your job, which you don't like. And a lot of people, have managed to do that, and a lot of people haven't. And the only difference is how disciplined are you and working on what you want to do next.
Amazing. Wow.
Well,
Thank you.
let me just say this. Like, I'm actually enjoying this, like, already. I like this guy. He's pretty good. So because great. I like you, I'm gonna start asking you the really hard business questions. Here we go.
Let's go for it.
What's easier? Being the monopolizing business owner, like an owner of a business that's like a monopoly in whatever it is, or breaking the monopoly of a different business?
Breaking the monopoly. Can you touch on that? What's breaking?
Examples, like you give us.
I'll give you an example. Say, okay, what's easier, being the owner of McDonald's, right? Monopoly and fast food chains, like almost all around the world, for example, right? Yeah. Or being the new fast food chain and trying to take over what McDonald's is, basically usurping their throne of being the best.
Yeah, of course. I think. What's easier is definitely being in charge of the monopoly.
Yeah, the status quo. Yeah, that's just keep it going. Just do what you're doing.
What's more exciting? What's more exciting is being the disruptor. And why do a lot of companies disrupt markets is because the monopoly stops changing. The monopoly stops, innovating. I would say, like a lot of big companies, they reach a point where they stop innovating, and that's the room for startups to say, hey, we can actually, make a decision in 2 minutes instead of 2 years. So now we're going to disrupt what you guys are doing and take over.
Yes.
That's the key there. So
like Tesla, for example, did that brilliantly, right? Where they took that key concept and like pushed it so far ahead that their competitors couldn't catch up to speed with them because they're smaller, right? Yes.
I think he lagged.
He lagged a bit.
I'm back.
No, you're good.
Okay, no,
you're good.
You're good, buddy.
I was just talking about how like Tesla did it was like a small disruptor company that went up against these huge giants that are car companies, but because they were so small and their ideas were so forward thinking, they were able to disrupt.
Exactly. Like I'm sure a lot of car companies had the idea of electric cars on their agenda. It was just taking too long for them to implement. Elon Musk, he's a guy who's been working, who has a history of finding a market that's staggering and then penetrating that market and disrupting. I mean, he started with PayPal, and then now he's doing Tesla, and I think he did a couple of bunch of things in between which disrupted the markets. And that's what he does. He moves fast. Now he's doing SpaceX. How could we make commercial space travel easy? And that's what he's doing. He's kind of disrupting. I mean, he's a really, really smart guy. So that's it is cool. The advantage of being the smaller guy. The advantage is you can move faster, even if you're a 3-person team. Even if you're a 5-person startup in front of a company that's global, you can move faster, and you have a direct contact with the people you're working with. When you're a startup and or when you're working on an idea or a company and you're having conversations directly with your buyer, you're learning much more than that bigger company, because that bigger company has 3,000 employees, and there's probably only one person out of 3,000 employees speaking to their direct buyer. So,
okay. So what do you think is the biggest issue with business owners in the Middle East, our parts of the world?
Business owners, or you mean startup founders? Like
both.
Old business.
We can talk about both. I don't mind. But if you want to talk about startup, we can just stick with startup since that's the topic of
whatever you know more on.
Yeah, absolutely. Do both. I think with business owners generally is I would say is two things. One is assessing a person's skill based on age. We have a big problem in the Middle East where if you're a young person, you're probably not skilled. That's what people think, and that's what business owners think, and they won't trust you. And how many times did you? And I've done it myself. Went to your dad or your uncle and said, hey, I can take your car washing company and transform it into the biggest startup in the Middle East. How? Well, I can create an app for you that allows people to actually, start, ordering people to come wash their cars. And your uncle went like, no, Habibi, it's this idea. No, right? They're scared to listen to someone young. And that's the, an issue with business owners, right? They're scared to listen to young people and to change. When it comes to startup founders, I think I said this already, is how a lot of startup founders in the Middle East, they just jump into launching a company. One, because it's the cool thing to do now, but two, they start with a good idea and a good solution. And it's always wrong to start with the solution. I mean, there's like hundreds of times where I've heard, conversations of, hey, Tovi, I have this great idea I want to tell you. And then, and purposely, I've smiled before hearing the idea because I want to hear, will this person start with a problem? So will this person say, hey, I have this idea. There's this problem of people not being able to find cabs in the street, and my solution for that is creating an app which you order a cab, hence Uber. So that's it. And then there's a difference between saying, hey, I have this really great idea of I don't know, anything, right, of a solution and an idea, and then you ask them, okay, so what's the problem you're solving? And they probably don't know how to. So that's one of the issues that is currently happening.
That's pretty cool the way you say that. I want to bring it back a little bit to the door-to-door salesman, because that? I love that, because I think there's a lot we can learn. There's a lot that me and Ali, because we're like, it's part of our podcast that we are reaching out to different people, and we do want different guests to come on our show, obviously. So what do you suggest is like the best approach for us to reach out to them, in order to get them on our show? What do you suggest?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, guys, this is what I do on my day-to-day job. My role in all startups that I worked with is how to drive new business into the startup, and my role is how to unlock new clients and bring them into the pipeline. And that's called sales development. How can you reach out and find that person to unlock? And to give you some context, I when I was in Squatpay, I started. The role is called SDR, a sales development rep, in every startup. So whenever you see that role, that's what the person does. Is literally reaching out to people, unlocking new clients. Started as there, and then 2 months got promoted to an enterprise SDR, and that's where I started unlocking multi-billion-dollar businesses for the startup. And now at Ultra, I'm a sales development team lead. So my role is a 50-50. One is to do what your guys exactly are doing, but to companies. And then also to handle the team. So to make sure I give my full support to the team I'm working with for them to achieve good results. To answer your question, it's two things, right? What you guys are doing is exactly what needs to be done. Is you're doing direct outreach. You're not afraid to reach out. You're not afraid to identify, okay, this is someone you want to have a conversation with. I'm going to send them an Instagram. One thing I would leverage as well is LinkedIn, right? Really use LinkedIn. If you guys have not already start building your personal brands on LinkedIn, and start, LinkedIn is a very powerful tool. You can actually request to connect with someone and add a note. And that note is always seen. Like that person cannot block these notes. That can be a really powerful thing to reach out to the right people on LinkedIn. And as well, one thing you can also do is referrals. So anytime you have a conversation, like you're having a conversation with me now, at the end of the conversation, ask me, hey, do you know anyone else that would be interested to jump on our podcast? Now what's happening is you're doing like a web. So now you just spoke to 10 people. Imagine these 10 people refer you to 2 other people. Now you have about more than 40 people that you can reach out to. At least can make an introduction. So you can be like, Tawfiq, can you make an introduction to Ahmed? I know you guys. I saw you guys are connected on LinkedIn. I saw you guys follow each other on Instagram. Could you make a quick introduction through email? I'd really appreciate it. See, now what you're doing is you're leveraging your existing people. So you're on the right track, and I highly recommend doing the other things as well.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
You know what? That's actually, I don't know how me and you never thought of this, Ali. This is actually
well, because we need people to bring ideas. Exactly. That's part of this. We're learning also, right? Yeah, this whole thing. Yeah.
Not bad.
That's amazing. So, I want to talk also about your UltraLabs, that project, right? So you guys are doing videos, right? Tell us that.
Yeah, absolutely. So UltraLab essentially is a platform, or is a company that allows enterprise companies, so very large companies, to generate content from their employees and then distribute that content to an audience. And that can be externally. So whether that's, different potential candidates for jobs, or internally for, 50,000 employees. We do have a couple of products that allow companies to share this content. So once you grab it from an employee wherever they are in the world, to share it on with one line of code, you can share that on a website. You can actually integrate it on a website. You can share it through social media. You can share it through email. We have an email product as well. So different methods of capturing content from employees and then distributing that. I think that the beauty of what we do comes from two parts. One, making the process of capturing content from your employees really frictionless. So, in a matter of seconds, you can have 50 videos from your employees. But two, actually telling your company's story through authentic video from your employees. So that's our key. Like our motto is humanizing brands.
Humanizing brands. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then what we do is we allow companies to tell their stories through their employees instead of we've been used to professional videos like come work it Facebook, and then a professional video comes in and then you're like, this is staged. Like this person probably memorized the script, right? But
right. So what's the difference? Yeah. So yeah, exactly. When you say humanizing brands, I think of like Facebook ads maybe that like try to be personable but are kind of like weird and offering. Yeah. So what's
the content we grab from employees is authentic content. It's literally from a phone. So if I'm an employee of some of our clients we work with are PwC. So if I'm an employee of PwC, and then the head of usually the head of talent acquisition or the head of communications nominates me to answer a question. That's how we do it. We do a question answer. Asks me, well, what do you love about working at PwC? I get an email notification, and then I record my video through my phone or my laptop, literally something like this. So that's called UGC. It's user generated content. I'm not doing it through a professional thing or nothing. So that this sort of video content is trusted by other people. People now are trusting UGC.
As opposed to like high professional commercial kind of shoots, right?
Exactly.
I see that. Exactly. Interesting.
But that's what we generally do. As I told you, I'm on the sales development team. I'm actually leading the sales development team, working closely with a couple of other people. My role essentially is to unlock strategic accounts and unlock new accounts to the business. And it's going well, with everything happening. I'd say we're grateful, and it's going pretty well. But we are a 15-person startup, so it's still earlier stage than QuadPay. But it's exciting. I think we're definitely going to be growing very soon.
All right. Yeah. And what are your next goals with the company? What's how does it grow? What is the next step? Do you imagine?
Yeah, I think definitely next step with the company is growing the team. So how can we grow the team? How can we reach our targeted revenue by the end of the year? How can we how can we find the companies that have the problem of not being able to attract talent because they're not actually sharing their story? And a lot of companies are having an issue with that. You'll be surprised by all these big companies are freaking out of, hey, we're not attracting young people to join our company, right? That's where we come in. So next step is growing the team, growing the business, and seeing where it goes.
All right. And so when you're working with a brand, so what are the things that make you think that these guys have a story behind them, as opposed to
Yeah. When I say a brand, what I mean is enterprise company. So we work with almost Fortune 100 or Fortune 500 companies. The reason we do that is I think our product is within a price range that only these companies could afford. But at the same time, these companies could use the most out of our product to kind of in different use cases. So for instance, these companies have, use their employees' videos, one, to add them on their career site, their job descriptions, to share via email to candidates, to share on social media, but they also use it for onboarding. How can I, as an employee, on my first day, get an email with different videos of my colleagues welcoming me on the team? How can me as an employee on my before my interview get interview advice in video format? So there's multiple use cases to be used, and we generally work with these companies to kind of help them capture content and then distribute them, and that can be in multiple ways. So it doesn't have to be for talent acquisition. It can be for internal. It can be for candidate experience. So then when someone's going through the job funnel, so there are different ways of doing that.
All right. Now let's talk about distribution. So what's the most effective way for let's say someone like us to reach the biggest amount of audience. So right now we're on Instagram mostly. That's where we're doubling down on because we think that's where most people are. But I don't know what's what you from your experience, what's the best way to distribute content?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, from what you guys are doing, you should definitely jump on LinkedIn. Yeah, most of the companies we work with, and I think it's also relevant for you guys, you want to attract people who are thought leaders within their space. And you want to attract these type of people who will share knowledge that will actually drive quality content for you. So a lot of these people are on LinkedIn. A lot of people are active on LinkedIn, and a lot of your audience are on LinkedIn. So I highly recommend distributing via LinkedIn. And I also, I wouldn't say a big fan, but I think TikTok has a big potential. You know, I'm on TikTok, by the way. I'm not very active, but I have one video, which if you see it, you'll be really surprised. Probably has like 1.4 million views.
What?
Literally just cheese being poured down on a sandwich.
Wait, what? Ali, can you pull it up? Can we see this? Can we add to the
TikTok is now really powerful for two reasons. One, the organic reach. So their algorithm is really powerful. Like if someone likes your video, they will show that video for everyone, not only friends with that person, but everyone who fits within the description. And then two, it's really powerful in a way where, you know, most of Generation Zs are on TikTok, or maybe not, even all of them. Right?
Yeah, on TikTok.
So now what you're doing is you're trying to you know be in front of your audience that eventually are going to be down the line, you know, in 2 or 3 years. So TikTok is a really powerful thing, and I highly recommend you guys jump on it. You know,
all right.
Whenever you get the chance.
How do you search on this website?
That's funny.
By the way, on the I think if you go to Discover, maybe on the left.
That is true. How do you search on this? Discover?
No, Ali's on the For You. Maybe go to Discover on the left, Ali.
As you can see, my internet is kind of.
No, you're good. But how do you even search this thing? That's interesting.
That's a good point.
Yo, where have I seen this girl? I've seen her somewhere.
But so this is Charlie.
The algorithm takes over here.
Charlie is the most famous person on TikTok. A lot of people don't know that, right? A lot of people don't know that. But ask any person, maybe 19 years old and under, who's Charlie, and they'll be like, "Why are you really asking who's Charlie? Like, she's the most famous person in the world."
Dude, I'm like 20 years old and I don't know who she is, but okay.
Because you're not on TikTok. That's interesting. That's because they have their own community, kind of, and it's kind of huge.
Well, we can't find this video of him spreading cheese, so
yeah, we can cancel out.
Try to pull it out.
That's funny.
It is funny, and you got like millions of like. It's not bad. You want to jump on? You want to jump on TikTok, Eddie?
I want to jump on. We should have maybe some content on TikTok. Why not? And LinkedIn, I guess.
You're already on this, right? All you need to do is take bits and pieces of your podcast, and then just divide that into small videos.
How long?
Literally, maybe 20 seconds, 1 minute, one piece of line that you got.
Don't tell him this because he's going to turn me into a meme, please.
I'm just going to memeify Ali. Yeah.
Please, I'm already a meme to my friends. I don't want to be a meme to the world, Ali. Don't do anything stupid.
That's funny.
Let me connect my phone.
Take your time. And by the way, I like that shirt, just saying.
You like the what?
The shirt.
The shirt? Or the shirt on the bed?
I can't see your bed, bro.
The one you're wearing.
I don't need to see your bed. It's obvious the one that you're wearing.
That's funny.
I thought it was obvious. But I do like your shirt. It's a pretty cool shirt.
You need to enable screen sharing, and I'll show you the video. Allow me to.
How do I? Okay. Spotlight, make host, forbid record. No. Put in waiting room.
Don't do that.
I'm not gonna do that, obviously. Make. I don't know. Should I just make him a host?
Sure.
Co-host me.
I can't do co-hosting, but I can make you.
You're a host for a minute for this show.
Yeah,
there you go.
Well, you're not the host.
Mm-hmm.
You get to ask the questions.
It's all on your control.
All right.
Awesome. So you'll be able to see my screen in. What is happening?
Like
okay, there.
Million.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
I see my emails. Anyway.
Here, go into WhatsApp. Let me show you something real quick.
no, TikTok. Look at that.
Here, this is 1.3 million views.
All right. That's it. And the 1.3 million people saw that.
1.3 million. Yeah.
Is that the most? Is that the most outreach you've gotten on like a single like?
Yeah, I think there's another one that went viral. This one, 65,000 views.
Okay, that's not bad.
That's it.
That's it.
Wow. Yeah, so I love using TikTok for fun. You see, like I don't really put videos on there, but yeah, no, you'll be surprised from the from your kind of the organic reach of the platform, and live a bigger audience.
What was interesting, you had videos that were like 300 views, and then you had a video that was 1.3 million. So that really just shows you, like, it really is just
exactly
it happens or it doesn't.
Yeah, it's like a rocket. Once people start engaging with your videos in the beginning, like it just goes up exponentially.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to proudly announce on this show today, A2 the show will now have a TikTok account. Please follow.
He thought about it and he's like,
bro,
yeah, let's do it.
I see numbers and that's all I see. I'm sorry.
He's like, what? All I have to do is put 20 seconds of me saying something. That is true. That is, that's what people are.
And you guys, I'm assuming you're already on Spotify. You're already on all these, wherever people can hear them.
Yeah, you can hear us wherever you can hear anything, people. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Anchor.
Apple
We're going to be on
Apple
Podcast. We're on Apple Podcast.
TikTok.
soon. Coming soon.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right. With that, Tawfiq, I think we're out of time for today. It was so great having you.
Dude, that was
really
fun.
like we learned a lot, and that was a lot of fun and went by so fast. So thank you, man.
It is.
Thanks for coming on.
We're gonna go ahead.
I was gonna say thanks for having me on the show, guys. This is definitely exciting. Yeah, you're being persistent. You're driving high quality, and your audience is just gonna grow. And just play the right cards, and you'll definitely be able to full time. Then you don't have to be a doctor.
I was like, yes.
Is that a promise? Is that a promise?
We'll find out. I'll
hold you on to that. I'm warning you. I will hold you on to that, like literally.
And if you start driving a huge audience, like you can get sponsors on the podcast, and that's it. You're making money.
That's it. Game over. All right, sounds good.
That is.
Tawfiq, is there anything you'd like to say?
Anything like to shout out?
No. First of all, shout out to you guys. Shout out to your team. Shout out to every graduate really looking for a job. I think one thing I definitely didn't touch on is finding a job is a tough process. Especially it was tough even before everything happened. Now it's even much tougher. The key when it comes to landing a job or landing your entry level job is a couple of things, and the most important one is being persistent and being disciplined. So really, finding a job is a full-time thing. When you open an application, like any application, and they put like, oh, your occupation, you put student, self-employed, right? Job seeker is one of those choices. You're actually a full-time job seeker. You have to sit down from 9 to 5, look for jobs, message people that are posting or hiring jobs on LinkedIn, very powerful tool, and be persistent and disciplined with that. And that's the key there. I mean, I landed my job after applying to 105 different roles, just to give you a perspective. Yeah. It wasn't like, oh, I applied to this job and I got it. And, no, I was sitting in actually in Dunkin' Donuts every day applying for jobs. So shout out to really every graduate looking for a job. And shout out to really every person who maybe got furloughed or got let go of their company and is now looking for their next opportunity. It's gonna come. You just need to be disciplined and stay motivated as well.
Man, you said Dunkin' Donuts, and I just realized you're in New York, man. I miss New York so much. Okay. Thank you for watching another episode of 8-2, the show. If you made it this far, and you learned a lot, because I definitely learned a lot from this genius of a person right here.
Thank you, Tawfiq.
Please do subscribe, leave a like, maybe comment. We try we don't try. We actually do respond to every comment, which is pretty cool. That is true. Think about it. Not a lot of YouTubers do that. So
we don't have that many comments.
Don't say that.
Even if you have like 1,000 comments, you should hire someone to reply every comment. These are people taking out of their time to kind of
let us know how they feel. Yeah.
Exactly. Even if it's a comment like, "Oh, this sucks," right? They still take it.
Why?
Why? How can we improve?
How can we improve?
Let us know.
It's constructive criticism. That's
there you go.
That's the mindset.
Great to be on the show. Which episode is this?
40 something.
47, one of those. 48, 46.
Awesome. No, just keep doing what you're doing, and shout out to you guys. You're being persistent and you're doing what you love. So shout out to you.
If you've watched any episode, this is how we sign out. It's a salute to cover the cam, and peace.